What's up? What's up?
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the
I've had such a bad headache the last couple of days. I don't know why. Well, it comes and goes over the last couple of days. Today it's been really bad. Hope it's an aneurysm.
And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
It'll probably be a short show tonight, but we'll talk about it. Yeah, let's go. That's right. Drink water, change your socks.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I got some news coming in, I guess, from the Elder Millennial. You guys remember that woman that we watched? Her name is Bunny Funny something on TikTok, and she's the one that's been talking about the MCU and how they're not registered to operate and they shouldn't be taking money and all that stuff. Well, she happened to find Older Millennial during a live stream, and she screen recorded it, right? He goes live about every day, and she screen recorded it. And she knew he was in Airbnb. She knew it was probably close to his actual house. And she screen recorded a section of it where he was walking around looking for to plug in his phone because it was going dead. And she was able to go through Airbnb listings and find the Airbnb that he was in and call it in as he. Now, remember, Older Millennial said, oh, it's not like my lawyer hasn't already taken care of this silly thing, and that's why I don't have to turn myself in. Of course, my lawyer took care of it. Ha, 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 ha. Like being a smart ass, I guess, about his lawyer already took care of it. And he even tried to call Bunny out by saying she's been charged with this, and she had a drug charge, and she had a speeding charge, and a DUI, but she got out of all of her charges, right? She wasn't convicted of any of them except for the speeding. But everybody's got speeding tickets. He's had 2 DUIs within the last few years, plus this violation of probation on a DUI, not paying. So when you're on probation, you pay, right? You pay for the monitoring. If you have drug tests, you pay for the drug test. He hasn't been paying for that. He didn't do his community service hours. But anyway, she called him in, and he got picked up. So let's go check that out first. Her name is Bunny something. Let's see. I might find her just by searching Older Millennial. And not only, I got some exciting news. Not only did he get arrested, he was resisting without violence, and he got tased. He got tased. He got fucking tased. I can't wait to see the body cam. So the arrest warrant says that they received a tip, showed up at the house. When they showed up at the house, they were knocking on the door. No one came to the door. Of course, he doesn't. And by the way, I wouldn't make fun of this guy nearly as much if he wasn't just like, don't want to be deported? Follow the law. Don't want to get in trouble? Follow the law. Back the blue, follow the law. All you gotta do is do the right thing, like that kind of guy, right? So, anyways, they showed up at his house, knocked on the door. They knew somebody was inside, but they weren't answering the door. So at this time, one of the cops was standing beside the door, kind of near the fence, and they heard someone come out the back door in a fenced-in yard, and they heard somebody come in and out. Well, or go out and then back in. Well, that made one of the cops stand closer to the fence because they heard the back door open and close, but they didn't know what happened. So one of the cops goes closer to the fence, right? And they hear the door open again, and he pops his head up over the fence. And he's like, hey, put your hands up, get down on the ground. He does not comply and tries to walk away from the cop. When he tries to walk away from the cop, he is tased. So we need to open this one. We need to also open the Elder Millennial. God, I don't even know what he gets banned all the time. I don't know which fucking one it is. So I don't think he's uploaded in over 24 hours. But from that, I want to watch this because again, he called her out and said that she was a stalker and that she was convicted of all these crimes or some shit like that. Let's see if we can find it. This one.
Made it her crusade.
I'll start it over.
I'm following. So there's been a woman here on TikTok who's basically made it her crusade to make sure I'm following the law. And I just thought, hey, let's return the favor. How you doing, Bunny? That's a wonderful mugshot you got there. Now, I've covered her name because I don't think she's made her name public. And I think that if a creator...
You can have a mugshot without being convicted of anything, right?
...doesn't want their name out there, It's not my place to put it out. But I can speak on the Schedule 1 drug possession. I can also speak about the driving while suspended. Oh yeah, that came from a case a year before where
that was a speeding ticket or some shit that she didn't know she had, or she claimed she forgot, or whatever, right? And a lot of times you don't know your license is suspended, especially if your address isn't right or you don't check your mail or whatever. They send you a letter.
She got caught speeding in excess of 80 miles an hour, and then she didn't show up to court, so the judge held her in contempt and issued a bench warrant. Yeah, she also failed to have insurance while she was driving while suspended, in addition to having drugs and drug paraphernalia in the car. So here's the thing, everyone. I think it's wonderful when somebody makes something a personal crusade, and it's really important to them that other people are following the law. And here's the thing, I've made my mistakes. I've also talked extensively about those mistakes, and I hope that people learn from my failures and don't do that themselves. But what I've never done is try to destroy somebody else's life. I've never made a personal crusade to attack somebody and pretend I'm better than they are.
How many videos has he made on like fucking Harry and Dean and all those guys?
Pretend that I don't have a past, because I've always made it clear what my past is and my past failings. So I just wanted you to know what the past was of the person you're all listening to. So there's been a woman here on...
So then he does an update.
Just so you know what obsession looks like, her last 26 videos in a row have been about me. And since I called her out for her own drug crimes, she's made 9 videos in the last 2 hours defending herself. But let's talk about something more important.
So that's the way he starts that video. Right? So she's made all these videos about me because she's obsessed, blah, blah, blah. Now, she responds to a lot of that and says, I was never convicted, right? You can pull my record. Those are just charges. Those are charges. And she actually ends up suing the police department and wins some type of, I don't know, like $8,000 or some shit. So she's been keeping us updated on the warrant issue. Warrant is still active. She did do a video saying the warrant was down. I want to give you an update. The warrant's down. But then it came back. It started appearing. You used to be able to search Redden Joe, and it showed up. But then if you search that, it wouldn't show up. But now if you just search his last name, it shows up for some reason. I don't know what they updated in their system, but it messed it up, the search feature. So everybody thought maybe he did take care of it. Pembroke Park, Florida, Largo PD have entered the chat. Let's see this.
And you know, JoJo, I'm out here supporting you, buddy. I am out here being a...
It's from 2 days ago.
Because every single one of those people that I talk to, I encourage them to go and support your TikTok and take a look at your content. Really kind of give you that hoorah. Local law enforcement has entered the chat, you guys. I still got a ton of stuff to do tonight, and I recorded a couple of videos, so we're going to sit here and let me finish my dinner while I tell you what happened. So I had 2 different phone calls with the state's attorney's office today. Very lovely people, definitely agreed that there's a lot to investigate there. And they pointed me in the direction of the people who are going to do that. They gave me the numbers I needed to get through the barricades and talk to people. I spoke to a duty agent at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is the FDLE. And they have taken a report and are going to be looking into it as well. Now, the really fun thing is I spoke to an officer at the Largo Police Department, and that officer asked for my evidence. He asked for my evidence in my file, and they will be referring that up for a little looking into with their Economic Crimes Division.
This is about the MCU stuff still, but still based on this. And this all started because Sarah Smiles, a different creator, made a video about Elder Millennial, and he threatened to fucking sue her and said that he's got a lawyer and they're going to sue her, take everything she has and all her future earnings and shit. And Sarah Smiles is friends with this person.
And a huge thanks to Doc for maintaining the server for that evidence.
Oh, and Doc Hazard. He said he was going to sue Doc Hazard too.
And uploading it into the police department's evidence repository. Now, I do have a phone call with the Tampa office of the FBI tomorrow morning to take a little bit deeper look into this because obviously they're advertising it across the nation, and there are not just victims in Florida. Alleged victims. It was just fortuitous that the duty agent I spoke to was also on the FBI task force. So again, I'm going to say to the people who are in leadership at MCU, first person that talks is going to get the deal. They're starting to look into you now. We're starting to get the calls. There's starting to be reports. There's starting to be people noticing what you're doing. You might want to lawyer up and figure out which one of you is going to spill it first. And
again, as far as I can tell, they're not being at least transparent about where the money's at. They took 25%. That the board gets to decide their own salary, right? And there is no API for them to actually see what this is, or where the money's at in this Monday fund that they say they put in. And it's $500 a pop, and they raised what, 3.4 million or 3.2 million, something like that. That's insane.
And I can't even take credit for this one. Hang on, look.
Standing ovation for the king who emailed the judicial assistant his TikTok handle. Oh. I'm sure you've got an email about the Elder Millennial or Joseph Redden posted on TikTok while also having an active warrant for his arrest. Attached to a photo posted around 5 p.m. Eastern. Most recent one posted at 10 p.m. Eastern, June 23rd. His TikTok handle is shown at the bottom of the video, at the Elder Millennial. I do see that the HCSO also has a TikTok.
Somebody emailed the judge's clerk and gave them Joe's TikTok handle, which is crazy because today I gave that same handle to like 7 different people in law enforcement. Whoever did this is far more savage than me. And just a heads up as we continue our series looking into the leadership of MCU.
MCU is what they tried calling a middle-class hedge fund, and they had people sign up for $500 a pop. They raised over $3 million, and now they're not doing... At first, they were going to make housing affordable, and then they were going to invest in, like, apartment complexes, and then they were going to give out scholarships, and no one knows what the fuck they're doing. They're supposed to be a 501c3, but they also do dividends. They're not registered correctly in any of the states. They're only registered to sell securities in Maryland, and they're not in good standing there. It seems like it's a scam, a huge scam.
Our next subject.
Or, potentially, what I actually think happened, I shouldn't say just a scam. I think they probably wanted to do some type of weird investment thing. I don't think any of them know what the fuck they're doing, right? So now they're just getting paid and not doing anything that they promised with the money.
Will be the good Mr. Christopher Bray, who is the Chief Philanthropy Officer for Northeast Georgia Health Systems. Maybe I'll call them for a comment. And she's not wrong. Listen.
First canary stays out of the cage. This is where she said one of the CEOs needs to step, or one of the board members needs to step up and admit it. We saw that one.
Video this morning calling out all of the
$3.2 million, dude.
Video this morning calling out all of the discrepancies in Joe's statements on his live last night, but it looks like Doc beat me to it. So here, watch this.
I'll be back. So for any of you who are actually members of the Election, you can now log into your account, and there's a tool in there.
Oh, this is the one we just watched last night, where he says there is no API for Stripe. It's a payment processor. The Amundi Fund doesn't have any API. So if you're saying that they can view where the money's at on the website, if they're a member, someone's manually typing that in. They're not actually seeing where the money's at.
So, just a heads up for people. One of the things that Crime Stoppers does is they pay cash rewards to people who have information that leads to the arrest of wanted individuals.
We're getting closer.
So if you are in the St. Petersburg, specifically around maybe the Yacht Club, South Pasadena, or the Gulfport area, and you have information about a wanted individual, then you can call Crime Stoppers and see if they'll give you a cash reward for providing information that leads to his arrest. Joe, this is not legal.
We saw this one. Do not invest. The only state that they're registered to sell securities in, which is what they're doing, is Maryland. They're not in good standing, which means they can't operate in Maryland. And the other 49 states, they can't operate in anyways. So whoever's been sending them money could not only, they could demand that money back, they can demand interest on top of it, depending on what your state considers fair interest.
All right, you guys wanted the mugshot. I still look like shit, but I'm a woman of my word. And we're going to do a FOIA request for the body cam, but while you wait, here's that mugshot.
There it is, the latest mugshot. Arrested on June 26 at 2:38 in the morning. So he was live last night. She did all the legwork. His live stream ended. I wish he'd have been arrested on live, but he wasn't. He was not arrested on the live stream.
Here's that mugshot.
Custody record 41, male, whites. June 26, 2025 at 2:38 a.m. Custody status, in status, or in custody.
That were threatening me, trashing me. All of his swallowers in my comments that were threatening me, trashing me, threatening my daughter. I did subject location for more than 10 years. I can find just about anybody. You give me the right motivation. Joe got found because he went after somebody I cared about. And then he had the audacity to go after me and lie to all of y'all and make it look like I was the one who was full of shit. Well, consider this sweet
I want to know how we convince ICE that he's an illegal.
Justice. I also plan on
get him to El Salvador
before he gets in front of him, explaining everything that man did to me and that y'all helped do. Maybe, just maybe, they'll revoke him completely and he can sit out his time in jail.
All right, you guys wanted...
All right, more updates.
Because on that live, Joe walked around.
He was live last night, so how is he currently in jail?
And I knew he wasn't home. I knew he was hiding, probably at an Airbnb.
And I just happened to be screen recording that live when he walked around, and I was able to slow it down and see the unique features on the walls in the house that he was in. And I searched Airbnb until I found the house that matched it, because that's how you do subject location. So he's in jail now because whenever I confirmed that that was the same house, I called the police and let them know that a wanted individual was in that home and that he might be a flight risk. Here, let me delight you with his record and his mugshot again so that you can understand that I'm extremely good at what I do. And he became my pet project. Enjoy your stay with the county, Joe.
There it is. Booking date 6/26/2025 at 2:38:07 a.m. Clearwater Police. Address in Largo, Florida. He's not even staying there anymore. Date of birth 11/15/1983. Place of birth New Jersey. He's 41. Brown, 6 foot, 250. In custody for violation of probation and resisting an officer without violence, which is obstruction. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. This is what she was able to get, how she was able to identify the Airbnb from this clip. She's got it slowed down, obviously. So what I saw was some of these, right? There's some art on the wall. There's also a mini split air conditioner back there, and a very unique light fixture. This round light fixture, right? Mini split air conditioner behind his head. Mini split, and there's something over here on the wall as well. I don't know what that is. Then this art, those three paintings that just passed behind him. Window. So that's definitely one of the bedrooms, it seems like. God, I don't know. You think he's probably already out on bail or bond or whatever, but he has not updated his page. Right, there is, this looks like attic access. He come out of one bedroom, there's another room behind him, he's walking into a room. So these doors would be directly across from each other. The texture is basically like knockdown, orange peel. The wall texture. There's the TV right inside this doorway. And this is like wainscoting or like shiplap or something like on the ceiling. Another light fixture. That's a weird light fixture. There's a fan in the middle of it. Some more unique art. That looks like art that was painted on just slats, like boards that were lined up beside each other and painted on it. It's got blue something on it. The art is pretty unique, especially if you can match. There's a smoke detector. If you can match like 2 or 3 rooms art, there's no way that someone else bought an Airbnb, opened it up, and bought the same art and put it in the same rooms. You know what I'm saying?
And I know you're not a Coach person, but if you went Coach.
And again, on his live last night, what was he talking about? Going to Europe. Saying a flight to Europe's only $800, and I want all my friends to come, and I'm going to be paying for the hotel and all that, you know. So it'd cost you $800 to come hang out with me.
A flight to Paris would cost you $800.
Coach.
Shit, round trip?
Yeah. And then everything else is paid for. Because
we get more art, wreaths. I think that's the wreath that's over the fridge. Another smoke detector, a yellow room behind him.
Your hotel's paid for. We're going to go out to restaurants and have a good time. Like, it's $800, dude.
And she, of course, flipped it. So all the stuff's on the right side.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Hold on, sorry. I gotta plug this in. My
phone's dying.
Thought you were making a freshie.
No, my phone's dying. So, but I'll say, but that's the beauty is I want all the creators that want to come hang out in foreign countries and are worried about the cost to be like, oh, that shit's cheap.
So all the creators that want to, you don't want to do like me, hang out in foreign countries. It's not that expensive. This guy makes Hegseth look sober. Thank you for everything. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the donations. If you want to support the show, do it at Colbert.fund. I greatly appreciate it. Trying to pay the bills this month would be awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So he showed too much of where he was at finally. Right before we only had that barn door really, and I don't watch his lives, or I probably would have been screen recording it too. This is like a fun game. It would be fun to try to identify the Airbnb in the area.
So they managed to get my original video this morning taken down, giving you guys the wonderful news. So I decided that I would supplement it with our favorite ancient Millennial. I figured I would supplement that with the police report of the resisting. I'll read it to you now. It'll be on the screen for those who prefer to read it themselves. Your affidavit
Now listen, this is the actual police report.
was attached to a wanted person call and positioned in the backyard of the adjoining property. While officers were attempting to make contact with the wanted subject at the front door, the defendant came out to the backyard a couple of times with unknown means. The second time the defendant came out to the backyard, I looked over the fence and gave challenges to the defendant to show his hands and to get on the ground a couple of times while in full City of Clearwater police uniform, to include cap with the Clearwater patch. The defendant denied commands and instead turned around and started to walk away from the officers. The defendant was then tased before being placed into custody without further incident.
Post Miranda, the defendant was advised that he doesn't know why he turned around and started walking away. He then proceeded to take blame for the incident. So he's like, "Oh, it was my fault. I backed the blue. I back you guys. I don't know why I just walked away like that. That was weird, wasn't it? I don't know why. That was my bad."
So there we have it, TikTok universe.
Not the taser, bro.
A well-known creator here on the platform, apparently on the lam for days, is finally taken into custody, and in a final...
And again, multiple clips saying, it's not like my lawyer didn't go take care of that already. It's not like I don't have a lawyer for these things.
blaze of glory.
Actually, I wonder if we can find that. It would probably be on her page, not his. From maybe 4 or 5 days ago. It was before that.
So there's been a woman here on TikTok who's basically...
Oh, that's the video of him saying... I was just hoping he might be in a thumbnail, but maybe not.
So apparently there's a rumor going around that I was arrested today. No, I wasn't. But
Then why were you wearing the same shirt in your mugshot?
That's an older one, but it's very funny.
Y'all are in.
We have some big news, right?
I have more of a conscience than you.
I want to see just the video of him saying, "It's not like I have a lawyer."
On MC Joe, did you find allegations being made, Gator? And it would appear that it appears also the looks like. Hey,
We will be notified. She woke up.
Hey Joe, the state of Florida is looking for you. You have a warrant out for your arrest. They don't have it posted yet. Dying to know. I'm done. You know, I'm so glad you bring this up. Did you know that for all of his blustering, he still hasn't filed that defamation lawsuit? Hasn't even said, because swallowers' money. Telling you about the horrible things they were going to do. Let's do an update. I'm sitting and waiting for my internet to come back to tackle the day and help Joe. We are loving our Leos. Go ahead and give a call over to Tampa. Well, I mean, it's out of one of those two airports.
I'm sure she or someone else has the clip. I can't remember.
Slow.
But I can't believe he would come out and say my lawyer's taking care of it, which he did on a live stream, not a posted video, of course.
Warrant and affidavit. I know you're running from. I see you go to jail. Since you're a creator, you could have just sold your platform to do that.
All right, let's go ahead and be in your imaginary world.
That's one of the defenders.
Sir, I'm murder who Gray was going to sue, which means they got the video taken down that shows the actual warrant with the affidavit. So, breaking news coming to you, or he goes by actual court records. My goodness, income. This is a one. Hey guys, I'm getting ready to head to bed, but I just want to take a minute to say that. Well, Joe blocked me, guys, so I guess the manhunt is over. I can't keep tabs on his location anymore, since I can't see your account.
things.
Yes, let's address a couple of...
Just address a couple weird things.
Yes, let's address a couple of weird things, Joe. Like, why on earth are you running from the cops when you are all about wanted criminals being held accountable?
From, let's call it a skeptical mind.
Well, that doesn't look like your normal backdrop there, Joe. In fact,
That's after the shooting.
I know for a fact that your answers your charges whenever you run. Everybody that's like, go feed your cats.
I wish I could find it. Maybe I can't.
If it's no big deal, Joe, why are you not turning yourself in? You're going to have to sit there for a while, and they're not going to let you back out yourself in. So I was on hold. He's selling his house. So, again.
He's also listed his house for sale. I think he was planning on going to Europe and spending all the money.
And so I want to give you an update on the progress I made today on Joe.
Maybe not coming back.
The fact that
Dude, with a few $1 million, how long could you live overseas?
I'm up on everybody's FYP to take just what his little markings are. He's so cute and he's got the little white socks.
Are you aware it's got to be true first and not fabricated?
Tell me you don't know how the law works without telling me you don't know how the law works. Tell me that you don't know how to use a clerk of court's case search site to try and make this seem fake. See that? Until the only reason you're in here, what? 5, 10.
Well, let's see. What do we have here?
Why would you have to block him? Because you're reporting him to the police.
Well, hey there, Tink. At least nobody knows that they're there. I would say
Message the older millennial.
So wait a second. You really don't care, but you took the time to mess. Ew. I gotta take a shower. Oh. No, that's a little bit better, but it's gonna take a while. Anyways, you were saying?
I mean, I don't know if I care, but...
I respectfully disagree. You took the time to make a whole ass video, so you apparently care quite a bit. Go on.
You know, I've actually messaged the older millennial.
So wait a second. You really don't care, but you took the time to message him? So what you talking about?
Asking him to address your allegations.
And yet here we are. He said nary a word, and he's doing the dirty delete on comments, asking him. Whole video warrant and the comments.
I swear I thought she had it, but maybe not.
Hey, Joe, a.k.a. the older millennial.
There's his house and his car, which is empty.
Look out for the older millennial.
And he's selling.
Actually, now I have another question, Joe. Why does your car have a license plate from
By the way, how does he have a license?
Oklahoma? Can't get a driver's
With his she just said that, I guess.
or to buy on Earth.
Maybe he's got a license in Oklahoma.
Everybody, it's time for our daily update on where's back to his and Burr County.
Hey, Joe.
Never mind. Back to this, the taser.
Sorry, we have one moment of resistance, which is met with a taser. One must wonder what that creator was thinking.
You just have to comply, dude. You just have to. Why didn't you comply?
This is the mugshot of a judge who was arrested for interfering with the.
Why didn't you just comply? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Just comply. God, there's so many people making content about him now. I can't remember what he looked like in that video where he's like, it's not like I have a lawyer that takes care of this. Just comply, dude.
Stay safe out there, America. So they managed to get my original. Not gonna lie, this is gonna be long, but you guys are asking for the information, and I'm happy to tell you how it is that I do subject location. But first, let me give a shout out to the king that sent a little bit of money to my Venmo to help with the cost of the body cam whenever it comes out. I don't expect you guys to send me money. My payments, my Cash App and my Venmo are in my bio because they're there for people for like my spiritual stuff and like the art that I sell and everything. It's not there for people to just randomly send me money. But again, thank you so much. Like really honestly, I was like blown away when it came through. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna have some visual effects to help you out. But we're gonna kind of walk through how it is that I found them. First, I'm gonna give you like the free face of it. So when I'm doing subject location, and we'll use Joe as an example. When I'm doing subject location, the first thing I do is try to find out as much information as I can about them. So I will send the form over and they'll fill it out. Well, I didn't have the courtesy of this, but I did have the benefit of Joe being online quite frequently and sharing information and things like that. So that was a great basis to start. And I figured he would stay close to home, as most people do whenever they're wanted and they're trying to keep from being found. Either they'll stay in their house and park their car down the street, or they'll stay somewhere close by, like a friend that's maybe a couple blocks over or a hotel or something, so that they're still relatively close to their house because their house is their home base. And so I started out my search looking in Largo, and I figured he would be in an Airbnb, or he would be, couch surfing with a friend. Now, if he was couch surfing with a friend, then I was going to have a harder time. But if he was in an Airbnb, then it was going to be a little bit easier. And you guys remember whenever he first moved around, I made note of the fact that his background had changed. And I made note of the fact that his background was unique. He had that sliding door that was on the rails, and that's unique. Not every single house is going to have something like that. And so
a barn door.
Scrolling through, like literally, it's not anything fancy, it's not anything glorious. I literally just sat there and scrolled through Airbnb pictures to see if I could find something that matched the backdrop. That's how a lot of this stuff is accomplished. It's not glamorous and it's very, very time consuming. I'm exhausted, but that's kind of how it works. And so I did actually locate the house, but I located it just a couple of days after he had left. Like the Airbnb listing showed that he had already left. But I remembered that he had a couple things going on that I had seen previously that he was talking about, like the hat. And
only about 10 minutes away, right? From Clearwater to Largo, where he stays.
The shirt that he was wearing from a local business down there in St. Petersburg. When he mentioned that hat, I went and looked, and there was a single location for that. And so that gave me a great lead. And that's what led me to the first house. Now, the second house was a little bit more difficult because I was kind of chasing, whatever. But he got up and walked around in a live one night. And in that same live, he had discussed that he had been outside all day and he had been in the hot tub. And I knew that he had 2 bedrooms because I could see that from when he was walking around to go to the bathroom and get his drinks. So now let's move on to the visual aids and I'll do a voiceover.
Okay, so let's just watch this video of him walk. Pay attention to that gray thing that was in the corner, the artwork on the wall, and the air conditioner that was up at the top. And now he's going to walk through and he's going to go into the kind of living room area. See this shiplap and that TV over his shoulder? And then that's a pretty unique fan light. You're also going to see that artwork that's up over his left shoulder, and then the door and the window. So now let's take a closer look. That thing over the corner I thought was a window, and then I noted that there was an air conditioner there next to it up above his head. And now if we look at the Airbnb photo,
and the three little blue. Man, I wish I would have fucking found this shit.
See that same air conditioner, and what I thought was a window actually turned out to be a closet. And then next we have, of course, him in the living room with that unique ceiling fan, shiplap ceilings, and you can see that TV up over his shoulder. And then we look at the Airbnb.
Well, he's already got the DUIs. This is violation of probation for DUI.
Photo, and again, there's
that is a very unique light there.
Wall, the shiplap ceilings, and we also note that the door and the window are there together. Now, I had seen him use this bathroom because he had laid the phone on it before, so I noted the mirror and the fixture, and then he had previously mentioned that he had spent the day in a hot tub, so I knew that I was looking for a house or a cottage with a hot tub in it or access.
I wonder what he was paying for this.
To a hot tub.
By the way, he was bouncing around. She busted him at multiple ones.
Now, how did I know that he was in a house or a cottage and not like an apartment or something like that? Well, that's pretty easy. So when I was living up in Daytona for quite a while, I couldn't help but notice that a lot of the beachy theme was more located towards the coastal areas. And so, and like the inland like waterways. And so I knew that I was looking for something that wasn't going to be a high rise because those are a little bit more modern. The ceilings are not done that way. I was looking for something that was going to be a little bit closer to the coastline or close to a waterway. The houses that tend to be a little bit further from the waterways tend to be a little bit more traditional. Now, I did not know, the last place that I knew that he had been was in St. Pete. And so I was looking.
Oh, I gotcha.
Treasure Island, South Pasadena, Gulfport area. I had located the previous house, but I couldn't seem to figure out where he had gone. I figured he would stay in the same area. When that ended up not producing anything and I was just going back over the same photos as before, I decided to scrap it all and start from scratch because I knew I had seen that backdrop before. Specifically, I knew I had seen the artwork that was on the walls in the living room previously. They were sailing ships and a large painting with like an anchor, and I recognized the top of it, but I couldn't remember exactly where I'd seen it. So I scratched it and started all over again and knew that I would come across it if I started back from the beginning. So I went back to the Largo area and I started looking through there. And when that didn't happen, I expanded up north. I was basically making a big circle going through Orlando and coming back down and around. And so my last option was to look in the Keys, but luckily I found him in Clearwater before that happened. So essentially I spent my time going back through Largo and seeing what was available, and looking at the pictures at what was available. And then I went a little bit further north and started looking through Clearwater, and that's whenever I found the house. And then I used the map on the Airbnb to locate the general direction or the general location of the house. And then I used Google Earth to walk the streets in that area to find a house that matched the image of the exterior of the house that was on the Airbnb listing. So that's how I did it. It was a lot of time and it was a lot of effort. And I just got informed that a couple of other people had sent in a little bit of money. We appreciate your help and donation to the cause.
She's planning on purchasing so it costs money to get the body cam footage a lot of times. So she's planning on purchasing that.
That is not spent on that will go in with the money from the TikToks to go to a charity, probably an immigrant defense league. So if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. And I'm sorry that this video is so long. Maybe download it and watch it that way. Have a good night, everybody. Not gonna lie, this is gonna be long, but
damn it, got him.
I'm about to go to bed and enjoy my sleep tonight since I'm not having to do all that other stuff, and I've got to start getting ready my next video on the MCU. But I wanted to answer this question, so I know everybody's waiting for the body cam footage, and I submitted a FOIA request, and I know that another creator also submitted a FOIA request, but those are being denied right now because they haven't settled it yet. I'm guessing is an open record issue. Once it's authorized for release, then I'll find out how much it is because they charge so much per page and per minute and per transfer and things like that. So it just depends on how big the file is and everything. I won't know anything until then, but I can promise you, just as soon as I am able to request that and get that, then I will go ahead and start that process and get that over. And
I wonder if anybody notified the Airbnb host.
Getting it ready for upload. Somebody said to send it to, I guess, one of the body cam places on YouTube or something. I don't know. You guys would know better than me. I don't normally do that kind of stuff. So if anybody knows what they're talking about, please pitch that into the comments and let me know. Otherwise, access and get that over and start getting it ready for upload. Somebody said to send it to, I guess, one of the body cam places on YouTube or something. I don't know. You guys would know better than me. I don't normally do that kind of stuff. So if anybody knows what they're talking about, please pitch that into the comments and let me know. Otherwise, I promise I will keep you updated just as soon as I can get my hands on that footage. I will acquire it. And everybody have a good night. And thank you again to those who are contributing so I don't have to pay for it myself. That's really awesome. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. I'm about to go to bed.
What percentage do I own? I own 25%.
There is no owner. It's cooperative, and everyone that is a member has an equal shares and votes. It's in the bylaws. What?
What percentage do I own? I own 25%. I'm sorry, I own 20% of it. What percentage do I own? I own 25%. I'm sorry, I own 20% of it.
Yeah, because there's 5 of them on the board or whatever. It's really weird. What I find weird about the whole thing, and the reason I would never give them money, is there was like 5 people, including Joe, that came together to do this. Those are not the 5 people listed on the website as the people running it. Like, why would you have Joe and these 4 other creators say they own it, talk about owning it, then you go to the website and it says our directors, and it's 5 other random people I've never heard of.
What percentage do I own? I own 25%.
He owns 25%.
Are we ready for a June?
Everybody's making videos about it right now, so let's search it again. Arrested.
Hopefully this means that we don't have to see your misinformation post every single fucking day. Hopefully this means you stop sitting there saying, we're for law and order, don't break the fucking law. Look, love, you have a whole fucking mugshot now. Actually, you already had one, but now you have another one. Wow, Donald Duck is president, so you can't blame...
He can't say that's his past, right? And it's not the liberals coming after him in Florida.
Biden. But one thing that really fucking upsets me is the fact that we have the same first name. Fuck you. Hopefully this...
I'm sorry, I'm gay, but I'm also a petty ass bitch, surprisingly enough. But literally, never in my entire life have I ever felt the kind of feeling I feel when I watch somebody who justifiably gets literally the consequences of their own actions, and literally it is a story to tell. Like, I'm a gossip queen. I love the fucking gossip. But when it comes down to Joe here, literally evading arrest for the last 3.5 weeks, sure as shit I've called him out many times on this one. But it's really funny that every video that I've ever called out Joe on, he's never really responded to it, because my videos are usually laced with truth. And he's probably pretty fucking afraid that if people watch my videos and see what I have to say, especially in regards to him, that there might actually be consequences for his actions. Like, you know, when he lies straight up to all of you dogs who are so desperate that he just puts out all this raw meat for you that literally is spoiled in the sun, which is literally him just telling you lies and regurgitating Fox News talking points on his platform to get you guys to worship him. But no other greater feeling in the world is watching somebody who literally has been evading the law, who screams out about law and order, who literally has been telling immigrants to just follow the law while yelling back the blue and yelling blue lives matter, while also desecrating people like the Black Lives Matter movement, get justice for literally evading arrest. But the best part was the fact that we were able to see the resistant arrest report in which Joe was tased. That's right, he had to be tased to be detained for refusing to put his hands up when the police literally got to him in the backyard of the Airbnb that he so purposely walked around last night on a live, knowing that many people on the internet were literally trying to find him to turn him into the police for him evading his own arrest. Now, MAGA, this is where you come in, and this is where you guys always fail, and it's really fucking hard, but it's called accountability. And this has been lying to you, as well as deceived a lot of you guys out of a lot of fucking money, which he still isn't answered for the MCU. This is your time to start holding people like them accountable, especially when all they've done to you is lie and lie and lie and create you to be the monster that you are today, to literally continuously support a administration that is currently trying to take away the rights of many citizens that you guys call friends.
Just follow the law.
I have never had a greater moment in a long time watching this man get the justice that is due for him actually breaking the law after screaming for so long that everyone just needs to follow the law.
All right, look, so here's what I legitimately don't understand.
The Elder Millennial has been arrested. Here we are watching the last ride of Butch Cassidy and the Dunce Cap Kid. He fled like an outlaw, but instead of Bolivia, he made his way all the way to an Airbnb in Clearwater, hiding out like a bootleg Scientologist with a felony warrant and a ring light. But like a bad tattoo or a midlife rebrand as a libertarian wellness coach, he's back. Joe has finally been arrested, not for the bad opinions, those are still tragically legal, but for actual parole violations. And while being arrested, he picked up a bonus charge, assaulting a police officer. Back the blue, baby! You know the people he actually says we should thank at Applebee's. Turns out when you're ranting online about restoring law and order, it's helpful if you don't punch a cop, then flee to an Airbnb. Because, of course, Clearwater. The Scientologists won't even take him, and they let Tom Cruise fly planes. This is a man
and currently in custody. I love it. We should be celebrating.
What the hell did you do to piss her off? Roll the clip.
Hey, Joe, a.k.a. the Older Millennial.
I got something for you.
Bunny, she reached out to me a few days ago. She tried explaining to me the MCU that you started, the Middle Class United Hedge Fund with over $3 million. She tried explaining to me that it was some sort of scam that you started. Now, I don't know. I'll let her talk about that. But she seemed very interested when I told her that you told me personally you were moving to Europe. I don't care about that, but I want to talk about this. As of today, June 18th, 2025, this right here, it's all allegations against you by your probation officer. You still have the right to due process, and you can either stipulate to these facts or not stipulate to these facts in front of an honorable court. But given your past of failure to appear, failure to pay,
I don't understand. It's not. I mean, I guess it is a big deal, but like he was paying like $50-some a fucking month, dude. Why didn't he just pay that? Why didn't he do his fucking 50 hours of community service? Like, it's such silly shit to go back to jail for.
He got fucking tased while resisting arrest.
Now, according to that guy's video, apparently Older Millennial got tased. So I decided to do a little bit of digging around, and I actually...
So just to... You know, with all his views from TikTok, he can afford $50 a month. Like, come on the fuck on.
Point of order.
He was arrested.
I actually want to go see this video. Even Mr. Global was like, finding out Older Millennial got tased today. Oh, I guess they took a bunch of it down.
He got fucking tased while resisting arrest.
No, according...
That's fucking awesome, dude. That is amazing. I'm so happy. Oh, well. What about a Muslim mayor? That seems like a hot topic issue.
Radical Muslim fanatics brought down the Twin Towers in September, 24 years ago. And now New York City might make a Muslim their mayor 24 years later.
Zohran Mamdani became a citizen 7 years ago, got it, is a Muslim, which is part of the story, and I have been unafraid to point it out. Are you comfortable with both London and New York having Muslim mayors? I'm sorry. I think we should have a little bit of caution with that.
All of the trillions of dollars we've spent on fighting the war on terror, all the American lives that have been lost here and abroad, have not prevented an anti-American Muslim from taking control of America's largest city.
And so if you want government-controlled grocery stores and rent control...
not a Muslim.
Socialism at a level we've never seen, and wealth confiscation, and basically chase anybody that makes any money out of New York, I bet it will be a mass exodus the likes of which that city's never seen.
Is that really the biggest issue? Is that really the biggest issue you guys got going on? He's brown?
Radical Muslim fanatics brought down the Twin Towers in September, 24 years ago. And now New York City might make a Muslim their mayor 24 years later.
Zohran Mamdani became a citizen 7 years ago, got it, is a Muslim, which is part of the story, and I have been unafraid to point it out. Are you comfortable with both London and New York having Muslim mayors? I'm sorry. I think we should have a little bit of caution with that.
All of the trillions of dollars we've spent on fighting the war on terror, all the American lives that have been lost here and abroad, have not prevented an anti-American Muslim from taking control of America's largest city.
And so if you want government-controlled grocery stores and rent control and socialism at a level we've never seen, and wealth confiscation, and basically chase anybody that makes any money out of New York, I bet it will be a mass exodus the likes of which that city's never seen.
Too Muslim for you.
Mega influence.
Do you know that Muslims did 9/11, right?
Sir. Hey,
same city.
Are you ready to be gaslit by America's favorite mega influencer? I'm going to let Jennifer talk, and then I'll be back in 1 second.
You guys know how much I hate this woman, right?
I think the reason a lot of Democrats are arguing about the price of gas
is because most of them live in Democratic states. If you live in a blue state, you're not noticing the gas going down because it probably isn't.
All right, gas prices aren't going down. Well, let's go ahead and check it at the U.S. Energy Information Administration. And this is the weekly U.S. regular all formulations retail gasoline prices. And yeah, if we go ahead and check January 2025 and slide on over here to January 20th when Trump entered office, we can see that it was averaging $3.10 a gallon. And then today it's averaging $3.21 a gallon. So that's an 11-cent increase. So we agree there, Jennifer. But why is this happening in blue states in your mind?
But that is because of your state taxes, the restrictions that you have on the environment there.
So yes, while states like California do have environmental regulations like this that increase the price of gas,
it would still go down if the cost of oil is going down, even if it's more expensive. That I don't think they understand this.
Over red states, none of this has changed between when Donald Trump took office and today. So what else does she have?
Meanwhile, many Republican states are experiencing lower gas prices.
Oh, wow. So red states are experiencing lower gas prices? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the red state of Kentucky there that she has on her shirt. And while EIA.gov doesn't track statewide gas prices, AAA does. And it says that Kentucky is currently averaging $2.91 a gallon on June 24th, 2025. But if we look at that same website on May 6th, 2025, you can see that Kentucky was paying $2.84 a gallon, and back on the day that Donald Trump was inaugurated, they were paying $2.80 a gallon. And
oh no!
Math in Kentucky, I can say that in the normal
the debunction junction
goes from $2.80 a gallon on January 20th, and 5 months later it's at $2.91. That is gas going up, not down.
Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the...
What?
Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst. The one who misrepresents the most intentionally. What the president says. I'm familiar.
Report about the ventilation shafts on Saturday night, and in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
Man, more like the Secretary of Defensive. When Pete Hegseth is this touchy, even with reporters from one of the most right-wing networks in the world and his own former employer, do you think that might just mean he's not giving us the full story? The new issue on the right is that
Jennifer, you've been the worst.
Reporting from a leaked intelligence assessment suggests that the U.S. attack on Iran might not have
I'm gonna send that to my sister.
Iran's nuclear capabilities, as Donald Trump keeps insisting, but rather that they had plenty of advance notice of the attack and they were able to move their enriched uranium to a different location prior to the strike, meaning their nuclear ambitions were only set back a few months rather than years. And instead of being honest or even acknowledging the existence of that intel assessment, the White House is now engaging in a face-saving campaign, breathlessly insisting that they totally, definitely, bigly obliterated Iran's nuclear ambitions, and anybody who says otherwise is a traitor to this country who hates America, as was evidenced by Donald Trump's own response at the NATO summit yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to move any material, including...
No, we just
uranium?
the opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous to move. It's called in many people they call it dust, but it's very, very heavy.
So you have like yellow cake uranium, and then you have the gas is what they change it to a gas. I think it's called uranium hexafluoride when they are concentrating it, right? When they're bringing the percentage up. And it's stored in gas canisters, right?
It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down, they're 30 stories down. They're literally 30, 35 stories down underground.
I think you got it all.
Oh yeah, we think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
And if you're wondering why Donald Trump is so defensive, why he is so insistent on shoehorning this narrative into existence, it's because the whole reason that Iran knew to move their enriched to 60% uranium is because a certain American president, to put this diplomatically, did not know how to shut the fuck up about the impending strike. According to the New York Times, Mr. Trump seemed almost gleeful in telling reporters that he could make a decision 1 second before it's due because things change, especially with war. All the while, Mr. Trump was making blustery statements indicating he was about to take the country into the conflict. Everybody should evacuate Tehran, he wrote on Monday last week on Truth Social, the social media platform he owns. The following day, he posted that he had not left a meeting of the Group of Seven in Canada to broker a Middle East ceasefire, but for something, quote, much bigger. So he told the world, stay tuned. These public pronouncements generated angst at the Pentagon and U.S. Central Command, where military planners began to worry that Mr. Trump was giving Iran too much warning about an impending strike. A small group of top military officials at the Pentagon and U.S. Central Command in Tampa had already begun refining attack plans at the Fordo facility and other Iranian nuclear sites that military planners had drawn up years ago. But even as the military planning was being conducted in secrecy, each of Mr. Trump's social media posts seemed to be telling the world what was coming. The president, said one military official, was the biggest threat to OPSEC, or operational security, that the planning faced. In other words, if there's one thing that actually ensured that this plan would not work, it was Donald Trump himself. He was the reason that the Iranians had plenty of time to prepare for the attack because he was incapable of knowing when or how to exercise a modicum of discretion and not make himself the center of attention. So now, given the fact that reporting suggests that Iran was able to avoid obliteration, for Trump, it's about saving face for himself and protecting his own reputation. He doesn't want to be blamed for the screw-up that he himself caused, so his sole goal right now is to offer up the talking point that Iran's facilities were 100% obliterated, and if you push back on that even a little bit, then not only are you a liar, but you hate our military. That's why he tweeted, "We just caught the failing New York Times working with fake news CNN cheating again. They tried to demean the great work our B-2 pilots did, and they were wrong in doing so. These reporters are just bad and sick people. You would think they would be proud of the great success we had instead of trying to always make our country look bad. Total obliteration." See, if you dare question the God King, then you're a traitor to this country. Instead, you have to toe the Trump line and just keep saying obliteration loudly because, as we all know, real victory comes from saying words strong and nothing else, a point that Pete Hegseth seemed to have taken to heart.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is. These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep, because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe
He looks so fucking unhinged, dude. So fucking unhinged.
It's moderate. Those that drop the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know,
and his hair looks plastic.
Knows Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
So look, I want to make it clear. I'm not rooting against the military or the United States. I want us to succeed, and I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I also happen to think that this entire strike was illegal because it's Congress's power to declare war, not the president's, and that's important. And I also think that diplomacy would have gone further than a reckless strike that may very well drag us into yet another protracted war in the Middle East, one that is especially unpopular. But my objections aside, it happened, so I'd at least hope that I could trust what the government is telling us about what did happen, and yet those people seem more interested in holding a campaign rally and praising dear leader than being honest about what happened. And when even Fox News starts pushing back, it becomes clear that this administration might have just lost the plot.
Listen to this.
If we're going to continue doing resolutions condemning Trump's policies, maybe my colleagues on the other side would get a little more traction if they introduce some clever tactics. I'll introduce one. A lot of people in America have come to think of President Trump as a sort of father figure, and indeed this morning we even saw the leadership of NATO refer to him as daddy. So maybe in these resolutions going forward we could have a little bit of recognition of like Daddy Trump is who we're going to oppose or something like that. Get creative with it, but in the meantime, please vote no on these resolutions.
What?
To have a little bit of recognition of like Daddy Trump is who we're going to oppose or something like that. Get creative with it, but refer to him as daddy. So
this is a Republican.
Trump as a sort of father figure, and indeed this morning we even saw the leadership of NATO refer to him as daddy. So maybe in these resolutions going forward we could have a little bit of recognition of like Daddy Trump is who we're going to oppose or something like that. Get creative with it, but in the meantime, please vote no on these resolutions.
You don't want to know what daddy means in my community.
That's an openly gay state senator.
Further discussion.
If we're going to continue doing resolutions.
That's pretty good.
When Donald Trump launched strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, MAGA world had a choice. They could admit this is a war launched by a guy who told us no forever wars, no wars at all. We're going to end wars. We're going to prevent wars. I'm really the anti-war candidate, right? They could have been honest and said this is what it is. Or MAGA had the opportunity to move the goalposts. And that's exactly what some of them did. They said, well, this isn't really a war because Trump didn't declare it. Others said, Trump didn't really have a choice. This is almost defensive. Trump's not really starting a war. And then some people got very philosophical and they said, you know, sometimes the way to get the peace is by bombing people. But then out of nowhere, Joe Rogan just admits it. Let's take a look.
I think the whole MAGA thing right now is very divided, particularly because one of the things they voted for was no war. Well, now it seems like we're in a war, right? So and it's quick. We're 6 months in, and that's already popped off. And then people are very concerned with now what happens to our troops overseas that are in these bases that are in vulnerable positions. And
so that's not a leftist talking. Okay, that's not MSNBC. That's Joe Rogan, the guy who endorsed Trump just months ago in 2024. The same guy who gave Trump a massive platform with that softball interview and helped sell the idea that Trump 2.0 was like a populist reboot and it's definitely better than Kamala Harris. So to a degree, this isn't about going, oh, Rogan is right on everything now. When Rogan says this, it matters because it exposes the MAGA split that Trump's second term has unleashed. And Rogan's part of a pretty small group that is doing something from the pro-Trump perspective that very few are willing to do, which is admit that what Trump is doing is the opposite of what he's promised. It's not tangentially different. It's not a 5-degree course correction. It's the opposite. And since Donald Trump bombed Iran's nuclear facilities and started floating regime change, although now it's not regime change, all of that, all that stuff, MAGA has kind of splintered into two primary responses. Camp 1 is saying, like I said, it's not really a war, targeted operation, it's a mission, it's a message. You call it anything but what it actually is. Camp 2 says he had to do it. It was Biden's fault. Biden was weak, and it's Iran's fault. And the concept of peace is squishy, and the only way to get back to diplomacy and peace is by bombing Iran. But then there's this third group. And the third group, it's very small, it's inconvenient, but it's growing. And Rogan being part of that group is a good thing. And these are the people who say, wait a second, he said he wouldn't do this and he did it. It's that simple. That's where Rogan is right now. And of course, Bernie Sanders is sitting there sitting across from him and he's nodding because Bernie knows that's exactly what it is. And Bernie knows, let Rogan tell it to his own audience because he's going to be much more effective in communicating that to them than Bernie possibly could be just because of who the audience is, not that Bernie's not a good communicator. So this isn't new. The same excuses were made under Bush. It's not a war, it's a liberation, we're not occupying, we're stabilizing. And the same people who used to call that deep state propaganda are now cheering it on if it's presented in all caps on Truth Social. Trump used to say stuff like, we wasted trillions in the Middle East. Never should have been there. And now he's the one who has been lighting it up and tweeting, now is the time for peace. So it's like Iraq 2.0, but with worse grammar and a lot more social media platforms. And we shouldn't forget that Trump branded himself as the anti-war guy. He told his base, I won't start wars, I'll get us out of wars, I'm the anti-war choice. That was the promise, it was clear. And he's ordering strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. He threatened that there were many targets left. He's talked openly about make Iran great again, like he wants to be John Bolton all of a sudden. So you don't need to be a pacifist to call this a complete reversal. I'm glad Rogan did it. Most MAGA influencers are still pretending this isn't a problem, save a few. And Fox News is calling it strong leadership. Tulsi Gabbard, who knows where Tulsi Gabbard is at this point in time. But when Joe Rogan, one of the guys that helped get Donald Trump elected, says this simply isn't what they voted for, there is a moment of clarity aspect to it. If Trump gets away with breaking this central promise and can hold his base, he can do anything. This was going to be the line. No new wars. The thing that made Trump different from the Bushes and from the Clintons and what Hillary was going to do and what Kamala was going to do is that he wasn't going to do any of this stuff, any of this war stuff. That's gone. Now he's calling it a 12-day war. He says it's a ceasefire. It's over. It's all good. But that doesn't change the fact of what he did. And MAGA is mostly too afraid to call it what it is.
Exactly.
Rogan did it. Bernie nods. We'll see what sort of reaction we see from the Rogan base, but it's very interesting. People in my audience know I am a bit of a pastry connoisseur. Our sponsor, Wild Grain, is the first bake from frozen.
All right, you're a pastry connoisseur. All right, guys, I'm out tonight. I haven't been feeling great the last couple of days, so I'm going to go get some extra rest tonight. Thank you guys for joining us. If you want to support the show while we're offline, do the Colbert.fund. I'm glad that the Elder Millennial is in jail. We'll see when he starts making content again. He's got to explain it, right? Because his mugshot and all these stories are all over TikTok now. He's got to say something. So consider supporting the show while we're offline. I would appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and I'll see everybody on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well listen bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6 cents for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Opened his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it." Whoa, wait. Stop. What? I'll get my files. Wait, what are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Give me oh my God. Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place.
Good night, guys.
You know that stage is set. You better buckle up.